seconds away on Studio 5.
31 years I've been married to the same man. Don't clap, you don't know him.
What happens when the laughter stops for the country's most awarded woman in comedy?
You sang on We Are the World, right?
Well, I was supposed to.
Cedric the Entertainer brings the funny with a look at the final season of The Soul Man.
What's up, hungry black folks? Who wants some gangster grub?
And The Babershop is back on the big screen with The Next Cut. Laughter is the day's medicine inside today's Studio 5.
Men are so funny when they show up these things. It's very obvious that you lost a bet. What, your GPS broken or something? Can't find your way back home? Did you know that this was a concert that said girl talk? Were you trying to meet women or you just...
Poking fun at the few men who find themselves stuck at her Girl Talk comedy show. That is signature Chonda Pierce, who is our guest for this comedy-filled edition of Studio 5. Everybody needs a good laugh, and this show will be filled with many chances to do just that. And the chance for you to bring that laughter to your home. But let's begin the way we start every single week with a quick look at your top 5 trending entertainment stories from Studio 5. At number 5.
So I'll cherish the old rugged cross.
Joey and Rory's last album, Hymns That Are Important to Us, remains at the top of the Christian and country music Billboard charts. Joey Feek recently died after a battle with cancer. She called the album God's Record. At number 4, Christian football star Tim Tebow could stop running from tackles and run for office. Tim Tebow told Fox News a political future for him may be a possibility.
Well, you know what? If there's a chance you can make a difference someday in something, then that would be intriguing.
At number 3, Sean Diddy Combs gives back, opening a charter school in Harlem. It's scheduled to open in the fall with free college prep education. The award-winning media mogul calls this a dream come true. At number 2, Justin Bieber posted an image of himself praying with Kanye West on Instagram. The photo has more than 1.7 million likes and counting. Bieber is becoming more vocal about his faith, most recently after winning the iHeartRadio Award for Male Artist of the Year.
Thank God, you know, I've experienced some tough times, I think all of us do, but it's about just our growth.
And finally, number 1, 2 years after a near-fatal car crash, comedian Tracy Morgan sat down with Oprah and shared details about his visit to heaven.
Talking to my dad, he had this green thing on. I just remember him saying, "I'm not ready for you, son."
Really?
And I started crying so hard.
Morgan was in a coma for 2 weeks and has miraculously recovered. And those are this week's top 5 from Studio 5. Right now, let's get back to laughter and comedian Chonda Pierce. Her documentary, Laughing in the Dark, was the 5th most watched film in America in its one-night engagement in theaters. It's a story of laughter and a personal journey of finding hope in the midst of pain. Just in time for the release of the DVD, Chonda Pierce is sitting down with us for this week's Studio 5 interview.
I married a man, I did my part. 31 years I've been married to the same man. Don't clap, you don't know him.
Chonda Pierce has been serving up laughter to sellout crowd after sellout crowd for many years. When did you know you were funny?
Oh, dear Lord. I don't know. You know, my mother used to get tickled at me when she was trying to spank me. If I could make her laugh, she would forget why she's spanking me. So, yeah, early on, it's a defense mechanism as a kid. And then as I look back in college, I was a theater arts major, and so I was always prone to audition for the funny roles instead of the leading lady, romantic stuff. I wanted whatever's going to make the crowd laugh. And so I had a tendency to lean that way without even knowing there was such a thing as a stand-up comedian,
She began her comedy career imitating Minnie Pearl at Opryland Theme Park after college. Can you still do Minnie Pearl?
Oh, yeah, you ready?
Yes.
Howdy! And I love it. I still love it, you know. Dogs still bark and howl, but I still love it, yeah.
Chonda's come a long way since those good old days. In fact, she's the leading female comic in the country.
How do you become the most awarded female comic?
You put a lot of hours in on the road, that's for sure. You know, I will never forget the day that I got a call or a letter from the RIAA, the people that give you gold records and platinum DVDs and all that. And they had a little function for me in Nashville, and I went and got my little award, and I told the man going, I just find this so hard to believe. There's so many wonderful comics out there. And they go, I know, we didn't know who you were either. Oh, no. That just humbles you really quick.
Her audiences, often church groups, have made her the queen of clean.
Is it difficult to be clean and funny?
I don't think it is. Now, I've never had to clean up my mouth too much. You know, I grew up in the Bible Belt, in a holiness denomination, and a preacher's kid. I couldn't string a ton of cuss words together if I tried. Well, I probably could if I got really, really mad. But it was just not in my, you know, it wasn't in my upbringing. It was not in my, it's not even in my, back in the recesses of my mind. If I stub my toe, I'm going to say fiddlesticks, you know, or ouch. And so it's not that it's been hard to stay clean. It's been hard to make a name for yourself in the comedy world, being a clean comic. For some reason, the Hollywood world or the comedy world seems to think of clean comic as soft or not as adventurous, or not as funny, and that's not so at all. You know, some of the greatest comics of our day were always, Red Skelton was so clever and so funny, and Carol Burnett. Seinfeld is relatively clean, you know, so those who really make it, you know, a long way and have great longevity, they've done it with their family in mind.
Looking to expand her reach a few years ago, Chonda's team decided to produce a documentary on her life.
A lot happened during that I'm sure you did not anticipate when the camera started rolling.
No, we did not. We got a totally different movie than I think what we were going to go after.
Good morning. Doug from your family-friendly morning show with some sad news to report. Our dear friend, Christian comedian Chonda Pierce's husband of 31 years, David Pierce, died following emergency brain surgery on Tuesday night. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Chonda and to their two children, Shara and Zach. Chonda has been posting regular updates on her Facebook page, and Tuesday night, her post simply read, "David is home."
While filming, Chonda also lost her mother and opened up about her husband's battle with alcohol.
Death puts a lot of things in perspective. The recognition that you can't do anything over. You know, you can't change anything, or you can never say another word to that human being again. That'll change you.
And the documentary is called Laughing in the Dark.
My personal life took such a turn that the story became about surviving and God's grace in the middle of tragedy. You know, and how do you hold on to God? And how do you tell a world that Jesus is good when everything is falling apart? And how do you do that? And how do you keep making a living as a comic when your mother passes and you're struggling with your kids and your husband passes? How do you do that? You know, and so that's kind of what the movie became, is how do you laugh even in the dark?
There is a Bible study to go along with Chonda's Laughing in the Dark film. That study is based on the book of Job, and as you can imagine, she even sees the humor in that. She's sharing the funny when the interview continues. Also ahead on Studio 5.
Excuse me, but I don't like to get involved in petty arguments.
Yeah, you do. That's primarily what you do.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you do.
Cedric the Entertainer is here with a snapshot of the latest Babershop film. And welcome back to Studio 5. If you could compare your life to anyone in the Bible, you may not want to choose Job. In case you didn't know, he lost everything. The book of Job happens to serve as the companion Bible study to the documentary on Chonda's life. There's humor in it, and that is where Chonda picks up the continuation of this Studio 5 interview.
I'm not the person I was when this documentary started. And I don't ever want to be that person again. And I don't want to be the person that just spoke those very words. I just want to keep moving forward, keep taking positive steps. When I watched that movie, when I saw it on the big screen, I remember watching it going, wow, that young lady has been through so much. And I am so proud of her. You know, it's almost felt like an out-of-body experience. So what I'm hoping is now that it's released on DVD and people can watch it in a more intimate setting than on a great big screen, my prayer is that it does open a dialogue about addiction and depression and separation and anxiety and depression, you know, all those things that we have a tendency to not want to talk about as Christians. And so that's my prayer. And that would be the only reason you would release something so personal. Now, what's interesting is we're releasing a Bible study that comes along with the movie, and it's based, this is always sad, when your life story is based on the book of Job, then you know it's been quite the life, you know. And so the whole Bible study is based on the book of Job, which I learned so much studying it and writing it out, and we had a wonderful scholar that was, you know, working on it with me. And so, you know, it's really precious. But what I love about it is that story of my life and what Job went through and is what all of us go through.
I know that I've heard you say that you want this DVD to give people hope. Yes. How are you feeling now after seeing it and putting it all together?
I feel, you know, you feel like, I don't know that it's my finale. I hope not, you know. I hope not. All right, so when we got my husband's stone in place, and you know, like all those families would put our last name and his birth date and the day that he died. And then there's my name and the day I was born, and then just a blank. And I go, like I have no hope at all. It's a really weird thing when you see your name on a tombstone. And I always tease and go, when my son gets aggravated at me, he heads out with a chisel and hammer going, I'm going to start today. You know, I don't know that this movie and the story of my life being out there for the whole wide world, I don't know that it's a finale. I don't feel that way. But I do feel like it's a period at the end of quite a journey.
In sharing her life, Chonda is open about battling depression.
How does a comedian go through depression? That seems oxymoronic. Like, how does that?
You know, we lost Robin Williams, who suffered from depression. We have lost so many wonderful, hilarious people, and they'll, because of their depression or what's going on with them mentally, they dive into some addiction or something that usually causes their death. And that is very sad. Sometimes I wonder if it's we who have been through dark days, we cling to the funny and to the laughter, you know, like it's just, it's like the thread of hope. It's the emotion that we're longing for. Where I am blessed is my hope comes from something else. It doesn't come from what I do for a living. My hope doesn't come from the sound of other people laughing. That's great medicine. But my hope comes from my relationship with Christ. If I did not have that deeper faith there, but by the grace of God, I would be Robin Williams. I could very well be the Chris Farleys, those who turn to drugs and alcohol, or those who get so addicted to the laughter and the adrenaline of your job that they don't know how to be off the stage. They don't know how to live off of a stage. And I can see how it can become very entangled if you don't have something stronger to hold on to.
How has all this changed your walk with God?
When you walk a dark, dark road and you know, I know that I know that I know, there is no way I would have made it to the other end of this road had it not been for God. You begin to appreciate Him a whole lot more, and it becomes more based on sensibility and fact and truth than anything emotional. Because, honey, menopause, you will be changing your emotions every 5 days. You will look at God differently every 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So you've got to have a deep foundation in the Word of God, not based on emotion. Now, it's wonderful. I've been in euphoric services, honey, where we throw babies and eat fried chicken in the sanctuary. You know, it's wonderful. But you cannot base your emotion or your salvation or your relationship with God on that emotion, or you're in big trouble.
Chonda's DVD, Laughing in the Dark, is available now. We want to give you a chance to win one and be featured in an upcoming Studio 5. Find me at Ephraim Graham on Facebook and Twitter for full details on how you can win. Still ahead on Studio 5.
You sang on We Are the World, right?
Well, I was supposed to. But me and Cyndi Lauper got into a beef. So I told Quincy Jones, I said, hey man, you gonna have to make a choice.
Cedric Antonio Kyles is best known as Cedric the Entertainer and the funniest man in the newest Babershop film. The laughter continues next.
I mean, we could do this like a family business. We'll be like the Jacksons. You know, I'm Michael.
All right, y'all know I'm Janet.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got dibs on Jermaine.
I don't think nobody was fighting you on that one, Stan. Daddy, you'll be Joe. Why I gotta be Joe? You old and mean.
And that was a scene from The Soul Man, which follows the life of Boyce the Voice Ballantine. Of course, the star of the show is Cedric the Entertainer, who joins us now here on Studio 5. So this is season 5 and the final season. Cedric, how are you feeling?
Hey, you know, of course, bittersweet about it. Excited that we had the opportunity to do 5 seasons of this show. But you never want to see something like this end, man. It was such a family atmosphere, good time. We laughed a lot. And so you kind of really hated to see it end. But, you know, I'm glad that we had a chance to do 5 seasons of this show.
Well, the good news is we've got at least 12 more episodes to watch. What can people look forward to this season?
Man, it's a lot of fun. The show was, I co-created it as a show where I go from being an R&B superstar to become a minister, just showing people they can transition from one stage to something else in life. And in this final season, I go from being a minister to running for the office of mayor of St. Louis. Me? Run for mayor?
I think that is a great idea, Martin.
Okay, no, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't. You know, why not me?
Why not you?
I am a pillar of the community.
A pillar? Oh, my God. Pastor, you nasty.
We thought it'd be pretty fun with the real political climate that's going on. So you will see me get a tan and I'll have an orange tan and I'll just make up stuff as I go along.
Well, the timing for it, as you said, is indeed perfect. Curious, so is there preaching and R&B singing in your family blood?
You know, it was a little combination of that. I definitely had a lot of people in my family that sang. You know, I had some aunts that sang background for Edwin Starr, and then I had another cousin in the group, the Impressions, and then and it's been a few, uncles and stuff who were preachers and some who were just pretending to be preachers to get the free tax exemption.
Well, you are also returning to the big screen in Babershop, the 3rd installment of it.
Hey, shooting out there.
I don't want to divert you. Stop playing, get down.
Oh, hell, it'll take me too long to get back up. I don't even recognize the neighborhood no more.
I'm trying to get that call in the middle of the night saying my son is locked up or worse.
Them people downtown, they ain't moving for us.
We gotta fix our problems ourselves.
The barbershop is the pillar of the neighborhood. So we turn the shop into our safe space with free cuts and styling.
It's some of my best work. I bet you won't be talking back to his mama no more, getting that George Jefferson. It's been 10 years since we did Babershop 2, and we wanted to be able to tell a cool story. We just didn't want to come back without something to say, so we were able to really take Ice Cube's character Calvin and with his 14-year-old son being drawn into the negative aspect of the streets and show how the barbershop and the people in their community kind of galvanized to protect their own. And we do that in a fun, really energetic way with a great message.
Before I let you go, I want to go back to The Soul Man. This series is also popular on social media. Why do you think that is?
You know, I think that, I mean, we do try to, hit onto some social subject matters and talk about things, ask questions, then, especially in the last few seasons where my character, you know, was strongly a minister. We would just kind of ask people morality questions and be able to play along with that and have a lot of great conversation. And I think that that's why it was so much fun for people to participate and watch and then play along on social media.
Indeed. Cedric the Entertainer, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And of course, you can watch the final season of The Soul Man on TV Land.
Ephraim, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Still ahead on Studio 5, a word from another funny man, or should I say woman.
I'm deaf in a dress. Do you want to come get some?
The man behind Medea, Tyler Perry, welcomes Studio 5 to his hometown. And now for a look at what is in the works for the next Studio 5. We're heading to the Big Easy.
Sometimes you've got to go through dark days to get to your highest and best self that God wants you to be.
From suicidal to successful, I'm sitting down with Tyler Perry in his hometown of New Orleans. He's opening up about his past.
Had it not been for my mother teaching me about the old rugged cross and teaching me about Jesus, teaching me about Christ, I don't know where I'd be.
And talking about his future and how being a dad has changed his outlook on life. New Orleans sure sounds nice, and we are taking you there next week. Before we go, I'm giving the final word to spoken word artist Tyler Strittmatter. He's breaking down why we should all be working to be dead men walking.
We're all powerless to our grave-setting ways, giving power to death's consuming haze, and welcoming weakness until the end of our days. Society says we're all broken beyond repair, and we buy it. Left to our own devices, we will surely struggle unsuccessfully, but in this struggle, God steps in. We are born as dead men and live as dead men until we partake in the life of Christ, Paul writes. Then we are free, not just from the guilt, but from the power of it. Crucified with Christ, so we are no longer slaves to our indulgences, vices, and addictions. We are made perfect by his crucifixion, set free by death's eviction, and healed of our afflictions. A dead man walking who's now dead to sin. That's what happens when God steps in.
A dead man walking. That is all for today on Studio 5. Until next time, reach out and touch me at Ephraim Graham on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And then come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week.